What became so popular at your school that the teachers had to ban it? I'm 60. When I was in 3rd grade, sunflower seeds were banned. I was told the teachers thought they were drugs. Capri Suns. Kids were too stupid to figure out how to get the straws in, and teachers got tired of helping everyone. That's hilarious and sad. What's weird is Capri Suns were easy to puncture, but it feels like between 2005 to 2009 they suddenly became stupidly hard to puncture. 2005 was the year they started using cured leather instead of plastic for the pouches. Sounds like bullshit, but I don't know enough about Capri Sun to dispute it. Oh, it's true. Back in my days I walked to school uphill both ways in the snow, whilst trying to get the straws through my Capri Sun packets. Randomization. People would gather around a vending machine and chant randomize, and the person performing the ceremony would punch the keyboard and get a random snack. Edit. I think that the whole reason it was banned was because the mid-lunchtime chanting got disruptive and the administrators didn't want to risk students breaking the machine. I believe there was also cheering on receiving the snack. In my high school we just had someone glue a loonie to the floor in front of the machine so everyone would watch random kids try and fail to pick it up. Back in my school days, the string around quarter trick still worked. We tried to keep the secret, well, a secret, but the school found after a couple months and straight up removed the vending machines. Wait, that actually works? Like where Mr. Krabs did it in SpongeBob. Rulers. Year 10th in HS, for whatever reason someone decided to smack a guy across the head with a ruler. Then everyone went out and bought a ruler. Suddenly everyone was a knight with a sword. Staff kept confiscating them, but rulers are cheap, so kids just went out and bought them by the handful. They ended up banning rulers at a school. The kids who were taking geometry that year and needed them had to be assigned rulers at the beginning of class and then turn them back in. If you rub the metal edge of a ruler against the sole of your shoe really fast back and forth, it gets hot enough to seriously burn someone and leave a scar. A kid did that to me back in 8th grade. Hurt like hell and left a mark that took a decade to fade. I was pissed. There was a kid in my high school who made probably around $500 in a month for making duct tape wallets. Administration found out, but didn't ban the wallets, just banned conducting business on school grounds. Someone went around school and sold his origami at 50p a piece. He'd get orders every day and then make them at home. Sounds like the school should support the entrepreneurship of its more motivated students, assuming everything they are selling is legal. My school had a bake sale for a kid whose family lost their house in a flood. Obviously it wasn't going to make a ton of money, it was about the thought. The cafeteria's supply company ordered the school to shut the bake sale down, as it violated their no-compete clause on selling food in the school. The school complied and banned bake sales. People bringing in their Game Boy Color and playing during recess. Kids were getting mad they weren't getting turns and they were afraid of someone stealing games. Beeping Jeremy found a copy of Pokemon Silver the day after mine was stolen out of my backpack. Can't get too mad at the kid though. His brother was thrown in jail for murdering their mom about a year after that. Well, this escalated quickly. His brother wanted to be the very worst that no one ever was. They had us in the first half, not gonna lie. When I was younger, we played this where you draw a circle on your hand, and other people would try to draw a line inside of it. If someone was able to draw a line in your circle, then you were out. The objective of the game was to be the last one standing. It was small at first, but eventually almost everyone in my grade became involved, and it spiraled out of control. Chaos. Pure beeping chaos. Kids were tackling each other, running away from other students, disrupting lessons, etc. Teachers eventually began to talk to us about how far our game had gone, and started banning it altogether. It was fun, while it lasted, boys. Edit. Thanks for the silver and the upvotes. Reminds me of a really cool battle royale our school did during a school trip. We often had trips with the entire school, so it was class 7 to 12, approx 200 people. Everyone got a small letter with the name of a different student on it. You had to give that person an item. Any random beep, all that was important was that the item exchanged hands from you. to said student, willingly. If you managed this, said student would have to give you their name. The students with the most name letters at the end of the week would get a prize. Best game ever, so much paranoia, so much fake friendliness, etc. For example, someone gave out some sweets. Everyone took one, suddenly he was like Pierre. The entire point of giving everyone sweets was to get that one person who was in his vicinity to take one. If anyone asked you, hey, wanna have a bonbon, everyone was like, nope, forget it. Because they thought it was a poor attempt at them. I also remember having a letter suddenly come through the door addressed at me that said come to this and that room at this time, and when I arrived it was my best friends who called themselves the Dark Brotherhood and made a plan where we would exchange letters to better plan our targets. I remember in the 80s/early 90s when they got banned at my school. The rumor that went around school was that somewhere some kid had sliced their finger down to the bone with a cheap imitation slap bracelet. And now parents all over the country were pushing back. Somewhere some kid had sliced their finger down to the bone with a cheap imitation slap bracelet. This is exactly the type rumor I would expect from suburban moms. This is also exactly what happened to me. My cousin was slapping me with the band, or thin sheet of metal, without its cover on. So I grabbed it and he yanked. Sliced my finger and palm to the bone. He still blames me for holding on to it. You are the kid from the rumors. We are only allowed to have €2 money for bus. If a teacher that even cares caught you, the teacher would be allowed to take the money and keep it. This was changed due to making it a crime. One time a teacher took €75 from a student. Luckily she was forced to give it back. What the beep is the reasoning behind that? What trouble could you get into with €2? I don't know how they go €2 specifically, but they probably wanted to prevent students from carrying enough money to buy drugs. Ah yes. Because the students buying drugs are definitely going to follow your stupid rules. Something guns. Camo colors. They somehow banned it school-wide because they were gang colors. Camo gang. Edit. I went to high school in the southeast Columbus, Ohio area. Half Wane rednecks, quarter Wane hood, and quarter preppy kids. It was a dumb mix. And for the record, so many people complained the school actually had an assembly over it where they explained their reasoning, and I don't remember exactly what they said, but it had something to do with gangs. I think it was gang mentality or something. How could they see the colors? You could tell if someone was wearing camo, if entire parts of their body were missing. Like if they had feet but no legs, with their torso floating in mid-air. I was in high school when cell phones finally became accessible enough for most people to have one. It took about a week of senior year for them to declare that no phones were allowed anywhere on school property. Same for my class. But now kids literally have those out at their desks using them, and the teachers are compliant. Yeah. The handbook still says no phones allowed, but that's just not a thing anymore. Kids are, usually, respectful enough not to use them when the teacher is lecturing, but after the lesson is done they're all out. Always, everything. Our class president freshman year ran on making them allowed during lunch, and that turned into they're allowed at all times. By junior year we became a tech-friendly campus and now we have school Wi-Fi, and you're allowed to bring in any device you want. Laptop, tablet, whatever. I went to my high school and did a few days of field observation for an education class, and most of the kids had their cell phones out on their desks, even though the rules were still no cell phones during class or they'll be confiscated. I asked the teacher, and she said it was just not worth the effort, so long as the students still did their work. Also everything was done on iPads that were loaned out by the school. Very different from when I was there 6 to 10 years ago. Fortune tellers, you know those paper origami ones, those, oh, and Pokemon cards and Yu-Gi-Oh cards too. Really? Wow. Nobody at my school knew how to make those. Everyone knew how to at mine, and I think the school probably banned them due to the amount of paper we wasted tbh. Warheads. It grew to such an issue with these sour candies Kids were organizing a black market where the kids with the highest allowance would buy them in bulk from the corner stores for a nickel each, distribute them to upperclassmen for a quarter each, who would turn around and sell them to the final consumer for 50 cents each candy. There was even a barrier to entry if you wanted in the business. You would have to eat 3 candies at once and not spit it out or throw up. Warheads are the real gateway into drug dealing. Legit happened at my school. Some kid was selling warheads from 8th grade till 10th grade. Once that business ran dry, he moved on to jewels, pods, weed, pens, etc. Eventually he will switch to small firearms, then to black market military weapons, then eventually back to warheads. Then he will start downloading cars, putting condoms on everything. Pens, people's heads, arms, bags, shoes, smart board remotes, baseball bats, clocks, balls, literally anything. The best bit was that the school gave out free condoms. They were fueling the opposition. After a week, there was a ban on condoms being out in public. Anyone seen with a condom that wasn't in their bag or blazer was immediately given a detention. In my college there was someone brought in to hand out condoms to people. Over the next few days, Tide condoms filled with water kept appearing across a few of the bathrooms. Rubber bands. Kids weren't even using them to shoot at other kids or otherwise misbehave with them. Kids would buy packs of rubber bands, tie the rubber bands together, making like a big rubber band chain. It became a contest to see who could get a chain of rubber bands to stretch the farthest. You couldn't find a pack of rubber bands at a store for probably 20 miles. This was when I lived in a small town, so there wasn't a ton of stores. In that 20 miles, Amazon or even public internet access didn't exist yet. One kid got so many rubber bands, they could stretch it the length of the school building. Well, stupid, I didn't think it was a bad hobby as kids weren't shooting them or shooting stuff with them. It was all about how big of a chain they could make. School rewarded our pointless creativity with a ban on rubber bands at the school. All rubber band chains were confiscated on site. Sounds like the perfect build up for a senior prank. Rubber band chains blocking all the doors and hallways. Almost like webs crossing the holes between the lockers. The kid that started a tuck shop out of his locker went to a wholesaler's, bought some stuff, sold it, used the profits to buy more. Repeat and repeat until he's now staffing a child guard to stop shoplifting and renting other people's lockers for stock overflow. Our classroom just became kids queuing to buy sweets and energy drinks. Sometimes a line so long in 15 minutes he couldn't get everyone waiting served. Then, bam. Banned. No selling anything on school property. Pretty much just aimed at this kid. Dude ended up stabbing someone, got expelled. No idea where he is now, but think his shop getting banned and being replaced with an overpriced healthy staff-run tuck shop squashed his entrepreneurial spirit. This is the most welcome to the real world life story on here. Young up-and-comer has great idea. Big company comes in, steals the idea and profits from it. That's unfortunate. Big company comes in, steals the idea and profits from it. In this situation the school is actually analogous to the state, not a big corporation. Pokemon cards. Pokemon was banned for being popular. Magic was banned for being satanic. Pokemon cards got banned at my school because they became an underground currency and kids were having their cards stolen by bigger kids. It became a huge scandal built out of a bunch of incidents. I remember in the beginning, if you had a super rare card, you'd show it off to all your friends with pride. Towards the end of the Pokemon card craze, if you had a rare card, you'd keep that beep secret and take it to the grave. If anybody found out you had a Chansey or a shiny Charizard, it'd make you a target, and it would probably be stolen within a week. I love it when schools develop a black market. Reminds me of prison. In Sweden we had this thing called bög, translates to gay pile. As soon as someone was on the ground lying, everyone threw themselves on making a pile of PPL. In Australia, that is called stacks on. We call it dogpiling in the US. Everyone dogpile on HBR.